You don't have a costume today, my love. Whoa. We're back, the headless YouTuber and her trusty pug, Pudge. Obviously, you guys can see that we got a new couch. It's much bigger than our last one. Our old one is now in our bedroom, which I really love in there. But I was telling my husband that I wanted to get new pillows for this new couch. And unfortunately, we can't really spend that much money right now because of something that we might be maybe investing in. And also we are paying for this upcoming vacation to California. So unfortunately we just can't really spend money on house stuff right now. When I filmed my June favorites video, I got a surprise package from my friend Sarah at Garnished Garden. You guys are all familiar with my gloriosum pillow, but this one is from her, I think it's called her Garnished Graveyard collection. And it's a bat, and also, where are you? This little ghosty guy. How freaking cute is this? So these two pillows, no, that's not a toy. Listen, you already took my gloriosum one. These are mine. No, these are mine. Non-negotiable. Mine. These two pillows are actually from my friend Erin. She sent it to me as an early birthday gift. Thank you so much, Erin. But Sarah did send Pudge something. Where's your gift from Auntie Sarah? Oh, here it is. It's a little dirty now because he was going to town on it, but how cute is this mini elbow for Pudge? And it squeaks. Anyway, I guess all that to say, the beginning of my October favorites has to be my new pillows that I'm going to keep on this couch year round because I'm just so happy. Honestly, you guys, I cried when I opened it. I had been wanting these pillows and I believe that they are worth every single penny, and I was gonna message Sarah to say I can't buy it now because, like I told you, we can't spend any like excess money right now. But I was like, please, 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 like set two aside for me, or is there a way that you can make one for me later when like I'm in a better place? And just to have both of them show up at my door, I'm just like blown away. Honestly, I feel really lucky to have such an amazing group of friends in the plant community. Obviously, we all started as just kind of connecting over plants, but I feel like our friendship has just gone so much deeper than just plants, and like they've just become my family here, and it feels weird when I go like an entire day without talking to them or seeing them, or yeah, I guess I just never imagined that I would have the friendships that I do when I moved to Canada. And I'm just grateful, honestly. I know that a lot of people talk about like competition in the community and like who has the best plants and who can be more like Instagram famous or whatever. Like there's a lot of talk about that. And I mean, I get it. Like it can be cutthroat sometimes. There are some really, really mean people in the community and in any community, you know, but I just really believe that you can curate the people in your circle. And I am just so, so happy with my circle. Pudge is playing with his toy since I wouldn't give him his Garnished Garden toy. Sorry, we just got back from a WALK, so he's like really like hyped up right now. But anyway, welcome to the last week of October here on this channel. I am sad to see another Halloween come and go, but if it's any consolation to myself, Halloween has not even come yet. It's actually September 28th today. As you guys know, I've been filming like crazy because I'll be in California in 2 weeks. And I just want to get all the videos out beforehand and be prepped for at least a week after I get back so that I'm not scrounging to like rehab plants and unpack and get the apartment clean and try and film and edit another video. So I've just been working overtime the last few weeks, and I'm exhausted. Like I'm like over it. I'm fully over it. But full transparency here, I 100% started this channel to be an extension of my Instagram, which I had already monetized. And then I started this channel thinking this is gonna be good like side revenue for like my family, and you know, we wanna buy property, we have all these things that we wanna do. It's just coming a lot slower than at least I thought. So I just felt like I needed to make a big change in my life to kind of supplement that income and kind of push things forward. So the inception of my YouTube was a product of course, me loving plants. That's why it's a plant channel. But I mean, truth be told, like it's extra income, you know. At first I was like, you know, that's what the point of the channel is gonna be. I'm gonna treat it like a job, but you know, nobody is holding me accountable for posting videos every week. And honestly, I wasn't even going to post videos every week when I first started. I thought that this was gonna be like maybe once or twice a month thing, or once a month. But over the last few months that I've had this channel, I've just, I wish that you guys could see some of the messages that I've gotten. And obviously all the comments are public, but I've received a lot of messages in confidence just about like what my channel gives them. And they've shared stories with me about some of the really tough shit they're going through, and how just playing my videos in the background sort of brings them ease or puts them to sleep. And I don't know, I feel like that's just something that I guess I didn't expect to come with this channel. And now it's not that I feel an obligation to post videos, but I really want to, because it's like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. So I didn't want to just not post videos while I was gone. So I really like had a hard talk with myself and was like, you're gonna be exhausted for the next month, but it's gonna be worth it. And you just gotta keep pushing and drinking a lot of coffee. And I don't know, I'm just really excited that I feel like we're finally here. I do have 3 more videos to film and edit before I go. So the work is not done yet, which is why I wanted to do an October favorites for one of the last videos, because these are just, they're a little bit easier, less taxing, and I can usually film and edit these videos in one day if I really focus. I have freaking rambled for like 10 minutes now. I'm just going to gather some of my favorite plant things and plants that I've been loving over the last month. I'm going to try and not show any duplicates from my June favorites, although I already know there's one plant in particular that I have to include. There's just no way that I can't include it. And I think I'm not gonna be doing these videos every month. I think I'll do like a monthly favorite every 3 months. I just feel like every month is a little much, but anyway, that is the plan. Let me go grab all the stuff and then I'll be right back. Pudge, he's all breath. This guy is just so breathy. Come here, show him your cute face. Are you just so breathy? Do you want your toy? Here. Can you sit down? So, I have about... Pudge, you better not move my tripod, dude. Don't move my tripod. Pudge is like so hot and bothered today. Okay, so I have I think I have 11 plants that I want to show you today. And the first one you have seen probably too many times now on this channel, and I hope you're not getting sick of it, because I surely am not. But the first one that I want to show you is, oh, I think I'm gonna have to move back a little bit. The first one is, of course, this Philodendron gloriosum. This was also in my June favorites video. These are all import leaves, and it does look like it's starting to yellow even more rapidly, and that's because winter is coming. I have acclimated it down to my shelf here to 30% humidity. So, you know, it is gonna go through a bit of that stress at first, and it is sad to see such beautiful leaves go, but in my opinion, it's worth it to be able to, like, once they're fully acclimated, be able to enjoy them in all their glory out in your living area. But yeah, I'm expecting these 3 to go probably by the time I get back from California. But this was the newest leaf to grow out on the plant shelf, completely out here. So it's not like this one started in a greenhouse and then it came out. This was totally inside of the caterpillar when I first brought it out here, and I mean, it's got some size to it. And it's beautiful, and there's no rips or anything. It didn't have any trouble coming out of the caterpillar. I did make sure to keep it next to a humidifier at 55% pretty much every single day, 12 hours a day at minimum. And it is just, it's gorgeous. Like this has to be seriously one of my all-time favorite plants right now. I have been babying this thing like crazy. It does put out a crap ton of EFN. It's probably going to be hard to show you on film, but you can sort of see maybe the like sort of sticky sap on the back, and there's sap all over the petioles. So I try to not touch this one as much as possible, but I'm just very, very happy with how well this has acclimated. I honestly didn't even expect these 2 original leaves to be on the plant this long. I was pretty much prepared for them to go shortly after I imported it, but here we are months later, and they've held on strong. Size test next to Pudge. This next one is a common plant that you can find at a nursery, and I did get this one at a local nursery, and that is a Philodendron xanadu. I forgot what the longer name is, and I can never pronounce it, so I'll just plug it in. But I have been after this plant for so long, you guys. It was incredibly hard to find over the summer. In the spring, I could not find one. And I just kept manifesting it, and then all of a sudden they just showed up at the greenhouses. And I'm super excited to find one that was larger than a 4-inch pot that already had a little bit of size to it, but some of these newer leaves in my care luckily do not have those spots that this plant is plagued with. My theory is that just based on for how long I've owned this, I have owned one in the past, a much smaller one that I had to check out because it was just plagued with those dots. I think that this plant puts out a good amount of extra floral nectaries, and when that EFN sits on the leaf for too long, it starts to burn some holes through it, and I can actually see right now some spots of EFN on the back of the leaf that have sort of matching dots on the front. So my guess is that the spots are from an excess of EFN, and then on top of that, when you have EFN, all this sticky sap that's not being eaten by ants, because that's what they put out EFN for in their natural habitat. I don't have ants in my home, obviously, so I think that when you have things like fungal issues that transfer via spore, I feel like these guys are more susceptible to catching actual fungal issues because of all the sap that's sort of sitting on the back of the leaf, and it just causes them to have leaves that look like this, if not much worse. My trick for all of the new leaves that have come out, and actually this one is a new leaf and I can start to see some spots on it already, which I think are from EFN. I can see EFN on the back of this new leaf, and there are matching spots. So I try to give this one a shower as often as possible, like once a week, so that the EFN doesn't sit on the back of the leaves, but obviously I just don't have the time to do that. Is that thrips? Oh, for the love of that's a pretty bad infestation. So I did find thrips on this plant when I first brought it home, and I thought that I got rid of it, but here we are. Let's see if you can see it. Ugh. There's like little tiny larvae on there. Ugh. Anyway, Philodendron xanadu, this one's going back in my shower, and I'm gonna hit it with another round of Dr. Doom. My life. Well, that was a fun little surprise, and how fitting that I'm actually wearing the shirt that I designed today. Let's talk a tiny bit about thrips right now, just a little blurb. I used to thoroughly freak out when I saw thrips, and obviously they're awful. They can kill an entire plant super fast, and it's just one of those bugs that honestly you kind of should be afraid of, just because of how quickly they can spread, how fast they can take over an entire collection. But I think that like once you have thrips a few times and you just kind of know how it goes, there's a sort of just general acceptance that you have that like, if I'm gonna have plants, I'm gonna have pests. Obviously, I would much rather have spider mites or, you know, like springtails or something that's not, to me, as scary as thrips, but I always get thrips. I feel like I live in a very thrippy area in general, and so it's something that I'm just always kind of like waiting to happen. It is not ideal that that plant was on my big shelf, and honestly, before I left for California, I was planning to do a major pest sort of wash down control and just get them ready for me to be gone, because I'm not going to be able to I'm not going to be able to monitor them while I'm gone, and I don't want Alice or Nick to have to deal with any pests while I'm away. So yeah, I guess now I know that thrips are around, and yeah, we're just gonna have to get everybody checked and treated, and that is gonna be an all-day thing. It might even take a few days, but here we are. I'm just here to tell you that everything's gonna be okay. Anyway, moving on. The next plant that I want to show you is this alocasia scalprum, and I mean, I knew that when I got this plant I was gonna love it so much, but I didn't know how much I would love it. And this is the first leaf on this plant. You can kind of see it's like as big as a finger about. Pudge, you're snoring. Wake up. Okay, and then this is the second leaf to come up on it. And then it was this one. And then this one grew in my care. My phone is going off. And this one was the most recent one to come out. And Pudge, please, wake up. It looks so small on camera, like when I photographed it for Instagram, and it honestly doesn't look big even looking at it now, but like this thing is actually, it's really big. It's like basically the size of my forearm, and it's really narrow and dark, and it's just everything that I hoped this plant would be and more. I did move it a lot closer to a grow light, and I can kind of see sort of bleaching happening at the ends or the edges, so I'm gonna have to move it away. Pudge! And then another leaf is coming out. And it does look like it's gonna be much smaller than the previous one. I do think part of it is the fact that it probably needs a repot, but at the same time I have been trying to keep my alocasia super root bound just to see what the growth is like, because this leaf came out when it was already root bound and it was massive. So I don't know if it's a fertilization thing or environmental thing, but I was hoping that the new leaf would be even bigger than this, but you know, here we are. I'm just happy to have a new leaf. But otherwise, just this plant as a whole is just incredible. Like, you can't fake the color of these leaves. It's wild. It's just so dark. The texture of it feels unreal. It feels like leather or like faux leather or something. And I really have not owned personally an alocasia like this. And I mean, besides the alocasia Mycolitzia maxkowskii, this one continues to be one of my favorites. I locked him in the bedroom and he is not happy, so I'm gonna wait for him to chill out. He doesn't have separation anxiety per se. Like when I have to leave to go out, or me and my husband are gone for several hours, he just goes to bed and just sleeps. But if he can hear me out here, he's gonna wonder why the heck he's trapped in the bedroom. Anyway, I'm gonna try and continue on just do your best to ignore Pudge throwing a tantrum in the background. So the next one that I have here is a Rhaphidophora protusa. This is not the same as a Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. A lot of people say that they look identical, but I really don't see it. I find them to be completely different. And if I had to pick between a protusa and a tetrasperma, I would say that I favor the protusa a bit more. I just really love the fenestrations on this one, and I like the sheen of the leaf blade. I love that it's more elongated, and I just think it's beautiful. So I'll see if I can find a more mature photo and plug it here, and hopefully I plug in a correct photo, because a lot of people interchange the IDs of these plants once they're like super mature. Otherwise, this one's not even on a pole yet, but it looks like we're getting ready to be ready for a pole, because I can see this aerial root poking out. This one is just in moss, and it's actually been doing really great in moss. This one was from, I think I've mentioned this on my channel before, this was from a much larger plant, and it completely rotted, and so I had to chop it. I lost maybe 8 or 10 nodes on it. I was super sad, but I did have the top 3 leaves, so I chopped the top for myself, I chopped 1 leaf for my sister, and both cuttings rooted like a dream, and I will have one to bring home to my sister, and then now I have a second chance with this plant again. So yeah, this one I'm happy to be able to include in a favorites video, because for a while I thought that I was gonna lose this plant completely, and then I would have to hunt for it again. So that is that. I don't know if I've shown this one on my channel yet, but this is an Anthurium viroquianum. I got this one from my friend Erin. These were some of the original leaves to come on it, and it did have a bit of root rot for a little bit. It was in a mixture of pon and leca, and I think that it could have been like a pH thing. I got some of these like sort of yellow and brown edges, and I thought that it could be fungal, and maybe it could be, but it hasn't transferred to this leaf since I moved it out of the substrate, and I do think that it had to do with what it was in. But it's looked like this for a while now. It doesn't look like it's spread much, but I'm kind of just waiting for these 2 leaves to go. But otherwise, this one just fully opened and hardened off maybe about a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago, and it's got some size on it. Erin gave this one to me because my big queen got thrips. Of course it did, and I was sad because I lost all the leaves. I had to chop the chunk into a couple pieces, which they've actually all rooted now and are pushing out new growth, which is really exciting. But in the meantime, I felt like something was missing from my collection, and Erin was just propagating these things like crazy, and so she just gave me this one. And I was not expecting a leaf this size for a while, but here we are. I'm really grateful to have another second chance, and hopefully I can keep this one happy. I do think that I'm gonna get it out of this moss before I leave, and maybe just do a mix of perlite and pon and just see how it does while I'm away. I feel like the queen is always gonna be one that I want or need in my collection, and it's just so fun watching these grow, because when they first come out, they're like this tiny, and you just get mind blown thinking like, how could that tiny little thing turn into this massive leaf? But they surprise you, man. So anyway, that's my queen. The next one is a non-Philodendron, non-Anthurium. This is my Hoya callistophylla, which desperately needs to be repot and taken out of this algae-ridden vessel, but for the conditions that it's in, it's actually doing really well. I just got this as, I think it was a 2-leaf cutting, if I can remember correctly. I think it was this leaf on it and this leaf on it, And then it pushed out these two shortly after I acquired it, or these two, I mean. And then more recently, it pushed out this one. And this is one thing that like I really was not looking forward to when I started down this rabbit hole of Hoyas. I was like, I don't want to deal with these freaking runner things. And I know that you're supposed to get them on trellises, but just with the amount of space that I have in my Redsta, I can't have like a tall trellis on all of my Hoyas. So I don't know. Otherwise, I really didn't think that I would be a fan of these kinds of Hoyas. I knew that I loved the really teeny tiny circular ones, the fuzzy ones. I always say that my Hoya serpens is my all-time favorite Hoya, and it truly is. I love that Hoya so much. But I wasn't really into the ones that look like reptiles. I thought that they looked cool, but I never really thought that I would love them and want to add more to my collection. But after getting this callistophylla, which I can't remember if I bought this or if it was given to me by a friend, but I feel like this has been my gateway Hoya into these sort of like, my friend Alice and Jing call it ancient dumpster Hoyas because they look like they literally look like that, ancient dumpster Hoyas. So I think that's what they would classify as one. I mean, it does look dumpstery. You guys probably think I'm nuts, but anyway, this one has just been really fun to have. I find that whenever I'm in my cabinet, I always gravitate towards this one to see if there's new growth. And just watching the new leaves come out are just so fun. This one was totally unexpected. It put out this runner, this super long runner at first, and I was like, okay, I think that's gonna be it. I'm just gonna get runners from this plant, and then it just randomly pushed out this guy. So I must be doing something right, but I do know that it needs to come out of here. And I actually have most of my Hoyas in a mixture of pon and perlite, or just pon. So I am gonna keep it in this substrate, but I think I'm just gonna get it into a bigger vessel. The next one here actually might come as a surprise to some of you, and it was even a surprise to me because this isn't even my plant. This is a Syngonium pink splash or something. This was from Alice to my mom. My mom loves all pink plants, anything with pink, she is about it. Alice didn't have much luck growing this at her place, so she asked me if my mom wanted to give it a try, and actually, most of the original leaves that were on this plant have died off, except for this little tiny one here, if it would focus, which of course it's not. And then it put out these two beautiful leaves in my care. And then now this other one coming in, which looks pretty much like a purely pink leaf, which is kind of amazing. I am not a huge fan of pink plants, but for some reason this pink just, I don't know, it's a cute pink, you know, it's like a dusty pink. It is much brighter like this one when it first comes out, but then once it hardens off, it kind of fades out, and I don't know, I just find them to be really beautiful. And Alice hasn't had much luck with Syngoniums. I have also killed a fair share amount of Syngoniums, but the Syngoniums that I do have in my collection right now, like the Albo, what is that? Albo, or Syngonium podophyllum, Albo variegata, something like that. And then I have a whenlandii. Those are doing really great too, and I actually might just grab it. I think I'll include that in this video too. But I just have this one literally in perlite, and I am fertilizing pretty much every week or every time I spray my exo, and it seems to be happy enough. I do think it's gonna like my mom's house more because it's a lot warmer where she lives, and I think that she can give it better conditions than I would once it starts to get really big. But yeah, this was unexpected because I was kind of just the messenger, or like the delivery person to give it to her, and I was really not much a fan of these before, but now I definitely get the appeal of them, and they're just so beautiful. All right, the next one might have shown you before, but it might have been a lot smaller. This is my Philodendron Sodorini. not to be confused with the Sodorini, although I don't really know a lot of the differences between them. I didn't have a lot of hope for this plant when I first got it, to be honest. I did buy a full plant from a shop over in Ontario, I think, last year, and it just turned to mush. It hated me. I gave it really good conditions. I gave it a pole. I felt like I gave it everything that it asked of me, and it still just put out the wonkiest leaves ever. And I feel like I've finally sort of understood what these things need, and the most important thing is a pole. It needs a pole. I mean, I know other people have had success with this without a pole, but in my experience, if you just kind of let them grow however, without giving them some sort of support, the new leaves just come in really curled, they come in really small, and just, I don't know, I've just not had good luck with it. But I'm giving this one pretty ideal conditions in one of my exoteras. Obviously, I've given it a pole, although it is starting to outgrow it way faster than I expected, and it needs to be repotted badly. This pole is just hanging on by a thread. I have had zero issues with new leaves unfurling on this plant, which came as a huge surprise to me. And you can see where we started, this bottom leaf right here. That was not the original leaf, but the leaf that came after it. And you can see now that it's actually starting to size up quite a bit and look more like a Sodorini. But yeah, I love the silver on this plant. There's nothing I don't like about it. It's beautiful. The shape of the leaf, the variegation, that like very subtle sheen and sparkle of silver. It's beautiful. So I am excited to see where this one goes. I would be very interested to see if the leaves can size up a bit more. I think before I go to California, I am gonna get it out of here because it's just in moss. I'm fertilizing it pretty much anytime I spray my exo. I just keep a very diluted amount of liquid gold leaf and CalMag in my sprayer, and I just kind of spray and water them every other day or every 2 days. I do spray my poles daily just to keep those aerial roots damp, but otherwise this one has been, honestly, it's been pretty easy since I've had it, so I have no complaints. I have 3 more plants to show you. The first one I'm gonna show you is another plant that's not mine. This is a begonia sinbad. I mean, I suppose I can take one of them or take a cutting of it, but this is actually from my mom. Again, another plant from Alice. I knew that these begonias were beautiful. I am not much of a begonia person myself, but every photo I've seen of this plant, I've always just been so in awe of it, and I didn't actually know that they were fuzzy. They've got these little tiny fuzzy hairs on it, and you can hear it. You can feel all the little bumps on it, and it feels a little bit creepy, I'm not gonna lie, but it's also pretty incredible to see in person. But I've always been fascinated by the color of these leaves. Someone mentioned that it looks like a snowy day, and I mean, honestly, it really does. This just looks so much different than so many of the begonias that I see, and I know that my mom's gonna love this because, one, it has these beautiful little flowers. It's pink. The new leaves on it come in pink. The undersides are pink. Pudge, he's fully throwing a tantrum, but I'm almost done. So yeah, anyway, this is for my mom. I might take a cutting just because I have grown to be a little bit obsessed with it over the last few days that I've had it. But I definitely had to include it in this video before I have to surrender it. But look at that, it is beautiful. Don't mind Pudge ruining our moment here that we're having together. I guess I'll let him out. Okay, we are back with the puggy snoring sounds, and now maybe a squeaking sound. Oh my gosh, Pudge. So the next one, or the second to last plant I'm gonna show you is, I think I'm gonna butcher this name. This is a Hoya menipurensis. I got this one from my friend Nikki. Oh, what is that? Oh, I see, sorry, I got confused. I got this one from my friend Nikki. She did say that this was a bit of a more finicky Hoya, and I was very, very nervous to own it. But again, checks off all of the things I love in a Hoya, which is number one, the fuzziness. Oh look, and the sun is coming out just for this plant to show you the texture of these leaves, and now I'm being blinded. Awesome. Okay, so wow, the sun is in my eyes. Anyway, she did say that these were finicky. I was so sure that this thing was only gonna last a couple days or weeks in my house, but all of this here is brand new. These two leaves were grown in my care. This was the original cutting. I did have it in moss for a good amount of time until I got some pretty long roots on it, and I have just recently moved it to soil. I honestly don't know what my thought process was when I moved it to soil, because I have all of my Hoyas in semi-hydro, but I did pick a very, very good plant to experiment with soil on, but luckily, if anything goes wrong with it, I do have a bit of stem to work with if I do need to chop it, but so far so good. I did move this one maybe a week ago, and it hasn't shown any signs of stress or anything, so fingers crossed I can keep this one alive. But yeah, this one is really fun. I was kind of hoping to be able to chop a piece for my mom, but I don't know. I don't want to stress it out anymore by chopping it. Again, I was going to chop it maybe down here, but then if something happens to this plant, I am left with only a tiny bit amount to work with. So I think I'm going to wait. Okay, the last plant that I'm going to show you is one that I got from my friend Lauren at North Shore Tropicals. I have shown this plant before. This is a Philodendron SP Columbia, and I wish the sun would come out one more time to show you the sheen. I can see, oh gosh, my eyes. It's just behind the clouds now, but anyway, this is a Philodendron SP Columbia. It very much looks like a Plowmanii in my opinion, not considering the color, but just sort of the texture of the leaf blade, these really sunken in venation, how the venation comes all the way out to the outer leaf blade, and it's just incredible. These were the two leaves that were on this plant originally, and it really is just as puffy and pillowy in real life as it looks on film and in photos. You really cannot fake this. It's magical. And then this is the newest leaf to come out in my care, and I was a little bit nervous because this one was living in one of my exoterras at like 80% humidity all day long, and I moved it out to my plant shelf about a week ago or a week and a half ago, and I have it near my humidifier right now. But so far the new leaf and even the old leaves don't look like they are stressed that much. Hopefully I didn't just jinx myself, but look at this new leaf. Like, what the heck? I don't understand how this can be real. It's like, it's very silvery and almost like metallic-y. Metallic-y? That's not a word. Metallic? It's very silvery and metallic. The leaves feel, they're matte. They're also like buttery, and again, they have that very subtle, like leathery feel to it. The leaves are thin. They're very thin, but to the touch, it feels like it would be super thick. Oh, the sun, it came out again. Look at that sheen. Every time the sun hits this plant on my plant shelf, my jaw just drops, and I just stare at it until the sun goes away. This is probably, I would say, top 5 of all of my plants right now. Like, look at that from afar. That sunken in venation, just, it's everything. I don't know how anyone could not love this plant. So anywho, I think that's it for, oh, I was gonna grab one more Syngonium. Give me 1 second. Oh my gosh, the spider webs are in the way. Put spider webs up, I said. It will be fun, I said. This is a Syngonium whenlandii, and oh, I'm so glad the sun came out just in time to show you the velvetiness of this plant. It truly looks like velvet. It doesn't feel like velvet. It doesn't have the most velvety sort of touch, but it looks really velvety. This one was much smaller when I received it from Erin, and it's pushed out 2 of these. Oh, trying to separate it. All of this is brand new growth that just shot out from the base. It was originally just this plant, and a few leaves did die off from it, and it was much smaller at one point. But after repotting it, after giving it a good amount of fertilizer, a good amount of light and warmth, it's come back full force. It's not on a pole or anything, but the leaves are getting much bigger, and these ears are becoming much more pronounced as they do when they mature. So, and I can see this new leaf that's unfurling has those ears too, because usually they look like this. A lot of people that are growing them in the home, they won't have the pronounced sort of lobes and bunny ears. So I was actually really surprised to see some of these more mature leaves come in all of a sudden. Most of the leaves look like this. Like this one looks like that. This one. Most, I would say like 90% of the plant, just they have that same sort of leaf shape, but then randomly it pushed out. I think it really started on this leaf. I mean, not the size itself, it gained a lot of size from the previous leaf, and then when I saw this leaf come out with the totally sort of separate bunny ears, I was like, oh my gosh, it's maturing, we're getting there. And then now I've got this one, so I am going to just keep what I'm doing, and hopefully we can get nice big beautiful leaves. I'll plug in a fully mature plant or specimen next to me, and I think the next thing is to get it on a pole, because this thing is just flopping over, and I think it would do much better if it was on a pole and it had something to sort of stabilize this stem. But this one is just, it's so fun. Honestly, I got it from Erin because I did have an interest in it. I wasn't like in love with it, but she didn't want it anymore, so I was like, oh, I'll give it a shot. And now I'm just completely like, this is amazing. I love this plant so much. So yeah, that is it for the plants. I'm going to get everyone put away because all of these plants, or most of these plants, are being kept in exos, and now that I know that I have thrips out on the shelf, I don't want to expose these plants to them. So okay, I'm gonna actually have lunch. I'm gonna put all the plants away, and then we will be back. The sun is really beating down on me right now, but I guess that's good for video. Let's see how everything looks. I'm gonna put the window down, I can't see. I am so full and so bloated. I had a lot of cheese with my lunch today, and it's already like 3 o'clock. I don't know why I've been eating lunch so late. Okay, so I actually have 5 random things. I've already shown you this. I know it's not a plant related thing, but it is my favorite, and I do want to include it in this video. It kind of looks like, what's that guy from, Big Hero 5, 6, Big Hero something? It looks like that big squishy guy. I cried when I watched that movie, by the way. Okay, so the first thing I have is just this liquid root stimulator, and it just looks like this. It's like this green sort of like gooey stuff. It smells really good, to be honest. It smells like something my grandpa used to use or used to have in his bathroom. Can't put my finger on it. But anyway, it's also a fungicide, and basically what you do is you just take stem cuttings or even leaf cuttings on plants that can be propagated via leaf, and you just dip it in this stuff, and then you pot it up, and it kind of just stimulates roots to grow. So this, I've been using this, and also the powdered, what have I been calling it? Rooting hormone? Rooting hormone. I don't know what brand it is. It actually might be this Roots brand as well, or this Wilson brand as well, but it comes in powder form, and that's the one that I mix sulfur dust and a little bit of cinnamon into. But I have been trying this one, and I actually really love it as well. I forgot which plant I used it on recently. Oh, I propagated a gloriosum recently, and I did use the powdered brooding hormone on it, but I took it out, and I think I propagated it in one of my videos. I think it was my repotting video. You're snoring again, sweetheart. I took it out of there, and I ended up dipping the whole stem in this stuff, and I mean, the roots have taken off and the growth point is starting to wake up. I guess I could grab it and show you. So this is the gloriosum that I propagated in my last repot with me video. And it's hard to see because this moss is really dark and it's like kind of come back alive, and there's a lot of algae up top, but it's rooting really well, and this growth point has woken up a lot sooner than I thought it would. And yeah, I'm just pretty happy with the results so far. And I definitely recommend this one if you're looking for a rooting hormone with fungicide. Next one that I have is super random. It's these little suction hooks that I got from a store here called Umomo. And how it works is it has this sort of like locking mechanism. So when it's upright like this, it's loose and you can stick it onto the glass. And then as soon as you lock it in, it kind of creates this really strong suction in the back. And I think that this can hold up to 15 pounds or something like that. And I've been using this in my exos to hold up my grid wall so that they don't slide down. And they've worked super, super well so far. So if you're looking for hooks, an alternative to the just normal suction hooks that you just kind of press the center, this is a good one. They also have ones that like twist, and I think those ones can hold up to like 30 pounds or something crazy like that. But for what I need it for, just for holding, you know, maybe like 5 or 6 plants at most on a grid wall, this has been really good. So definitely recommend these. I think you can sometimes find these at a dollar store, and I haven't had luck finding these kinds of suction hooks there, but maybe try Daiso if you don't have an Umomo near you. But yeah, this is really cool. I do need to get more because I have 2 grid walls in my big EXO that are just on the regular suction, like on regular suction cups. And because all of my plants are just growing like crazy right now, a lot of the plants are getting much heavier. And I've actually had plants fall, or I've had the grid wall fall a few times over the last few days. So I wasn't planning to film another video tonight, but I actually think I'm going to redo the EXO in there and just get it prepped for my trip in advance, and just keep all the ones that I want to fit in there, and get the grid wall stabilized, because I basically just don't want any accidents while I'm away. So gotta go grab more of these guys. The next one is this Dr. Doom thrip killer. This has come in handy so many times for me. I know that there's a lot of people out there that don't like to use any chemicals on their plants, and I completely understand your reasoning for wanting to do that. And honestly, if I was dealing with like spider mites or just something a little bit more minor like scale, I wouldn't use a really heavy chemical spray like this. It's just with thrips. You're snoring. It's just thrips that I have to use this stuff. Captain Jack's dead bug spray is similar, I think, from what I've heard. But this says that it kills leaf miners, exposed thrips, whiteflies, aphids, and other pests listed on the label. And there's, obviously, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but obviously I'm probably going to be using this entire bottle on all of these plants because, as you saw earlier in the video, I found thrips on the Xanadu, and I'm just going to treat that entire shelf as if it's infested with thrips, just to be safe. But thank goodness I have 2 full bottles of this stuff. Sorry for Pudge snoring, we're almost done here. The next thing I'm gonna show you is this fertilizer that I've been using for quite a while now, actually. This is just CalMag. You can actually use this multiple times a week per the bottle, but how I've been using it is just mixing a very, very diluted amount in here, or a very, very diluted amount into my watering cans and my sprayer. I probably put like, I don't know, if I had to guess, I usually just do a little pour, but if I had to guess, I would say I maybe do about like 10 milliliters or 12 milliliters in my 8-liter sprayer. And I've just been using it on all my plants, and I've actually noticed with the addition of liquid gold leaf, so many of my plants are just growing quicker. They're unfurling a lot better. I've been using CalMag on my gloriosum that I showed you on this one. This one is also fertilized with liquid gold leaf, of course, but I'm also using CalMag on it. And I do think that that contributed to the fact that this unfurled so well, even only being in like 50-55% humidity through a humidifier. So I'm just gonna read you a little bit of what's on the back just to give you an idea of what this stuff does. And it says, this is to feed your plants extra calcium, magnesium, and iron. If you use a non-advanced base nutrient. Your plants need a steady supply of calcium and magnesium to ensure vigorous, healthy growth, but even expert growers often overlook another crucial element for high-value crops: specific forms of iron in precise ratios. If you're using our base nutrients, your crops are already getting the amounts of calcium, magnesium, and iron. But if you're using our competitors' base nutrients, your crops could suffer from stunted growth or yellowing leaves. In that case, use this stuff, the nutrient supplement formulated with ratios of calcium, magnesium, and iron your crops need. If you're gonna sleep out here, no snoring. So anyway, this stuff is basically just a dose of nitrogen, calcium, magnesium, and iron. The liquid gold leaf that I'm using already has some of these nutrients, but I do think that my plants might be nitrogen deficient, and I'll throw up signs of nitrogen deficiency on the screen. But I would say that my biggest observation so far has been my leaves unfurling a lot easier without getting stuck, even if I'm not giving it high humidity or misting it or whatever. I just find that they're coming out of the sheaths and the caterpillars much easier. I'm also noticing that even plants that are not on a pole, specifically my friend Jing's Philodendron Sodorini that I'm rehabbing for her, that one is purely, I think it's just in pon and a little bit of perlite, or maybe mostly perlite and a little bit of pon, and I'm only feeding it CalMag and a little bit of liquid gold leaf whenever I give it a little spritz. But that one was, like I said, it was a rehab. It's not on a pole. I'm not doing anything really special for it, and it's growing beautifully. And of course I'm not prepared, but I'm just gonna go grab it to show you guys. Before I show you what it looks like, I'm gonna see if I can find the clip of when I first picked it up, throw it up here. I want to say that I got the Sodorini from her 2 months ago. It would have been when I went to North Shore Tropicals for that event, which was 1 month ago. So a month ago I got it from her. It looked like that, and the leaves were just having a lot of difficulty unfurling. The leaves were really sort of sickly looking and all like mangled looking out of the caterpillar. And so I chopped the top off, and the top is actually doing really well. And it's rooted into the pole of my Sodorini inadvertently, so now it's kind of just stuck on there. This is the bottom cutting now. And honestly, I feel like it made a complete sort of 180 from where it was before. These leaves are beautiful. They're pristine, and like, look at it. It's literally just in perlite and a little bit of leca, no pole, no support, no nothing. And these leaves are just gaining so much size, and it's actually pretty incredible. So I do think that CalMag has been a big part in the rehab of this plant. And ever since I sort of started observing the growth on this one, I've been using it for my other plants as well. So this was the thing that sort of started me on reusing CalMag, because I've been using it for a while, and then when I got liquid gold leaf, I don't know, I kind of dropped off and I just sort of left it. And then I just figured like why not mix both of the fertilizers, and so I've been doing that for about a month, and yeah, it's been a pretty good experience so far. So anyway, this is her Sodorini, and it's just it's beautiful. I love it. The last thing I'm gonna show you is something that you have seen on this channel probably way too many times, and that is my trusty earwax scraper. A lot of people have wondered what this is. Instagram says that it's an earwax scraper, so it's an earwax scraper. My mom gave me one of these like manicure kits maybe 3 or 4 Christmases ago, and it had a bunch of these like random tools that I didn't know what it was for. This was one of them, and it was just kind of sitting in that case for as long as I can remember. And then there was one day where I needed to release a, does this bend to you? There was a day that I needed to release a leaf from a sheath when it was stuck, and I was going through all my tools. I couldn't find anything, and then I stumbled upon this one, and I guess the rest is history, because I use these for my chonk cleanings. I use this to release leaves from sheaths. I use it for so many things, and my friend Jing actually let me borrow her bigger one, and it's about this long. It looks way more sort of fancy than this one, but I actually prefer this size. I find that you can get a lot more precision and control with what you're trying to do, opposed to having like a longer handle. Or maybe it's that I just got used to using one this small, but I also find that the tip of mine is a lot sharper than hers. Not super sharp, like you can't cut anything with this, but it has enough of an edge to like get a good scrape if you're cleaning chonks without having to put too much pressure. Whereas hers is a little bit more dull at the top, and you do have to put a bit more pressure when you're cleaning those chonks. But I can't even tell you how many plants I've cleaned with this tiny little thing already. And my gloriosum, as I've shown you, this was one of them that I cleaned. I actually cleaned it on camera in my Equigenera unboxing video. This one had a pretty dirty chunk from what I can remember, and obviously it's doing super well. So anyway, if you don't have one of these already, I would definitely get it. It is a game changer if you are into cleaning your chunks and your stems like I am. Someone in a comment from last week's video, or not last week's, I forgot, we're in the future. Someone left a comment on my video about my most difficult plants. It wasn't a malicious comment at all. It was purely a suggestion, which I always welcome. But he or she said, oh, maybe your plants are struggling, or the plants that you're, are giving you grief are struggling because you're sort of going in there too much with tools, and you're using toothbrushes to scrape off scale and stuff. And a lot of the things that I do now that I love are a product of me testing it out. There's so many methods and processes that I've vetted and gone through that didn't work, didn't like it for whatever reason. So everything that I show on my channel are things that just work for me. And maybe some of those plants that I was struggling with, or that I am struggling with, but he won't wake up. Wake up. Excuse me. Bonk. He's looking at me like rude. I really can't tell you why I'm struggling with the plants I'm struggling with, which is why I'm struggling with them. But I don't think that it has anything to do with me cleaning the chonks, because I do try and be very sterile. Of course, my process isn't perfect, and there's always margin for error, but I've cleaned so many plants and chonks before that I really don't think it's that. I just really think that there are plants that are just more finicky. It could be anything from it didn't like the conditions I gave it. I might have been using moss that has degraded. It could be a number of things, but I try to not give up on my rehab plants fast, even if it's giving me a lot of grief, because it's kind of an opportunity to learn more and experiment and try different things. I'm not gonna say that I don't ever give up. There is a certain point that I reach sometimes where I'm like, I'm done, I can't deal with this anymore. And then I'm on to the next thing. It's just a reminder, you know, I am not a professional. I'm not a professional botanist. I am purely a hobbyist that has been doing this for a few years now, and there are things that have worked for me that I just feel like I would love to share with you guys. And of course, thank you to anyone who trusts the advice that I give, but always try it out first. Just because I say I love no drainage holes does not mean that you should convert your entire collection to no drainage holes. Any advice you get, really, not even just from me or from your favorite person in the industry or in this hobby, a part of growing plants is experimentation. And one gripe that I have about people that we call plant community gatekeepers is that a lot of the times when you share these experiments with people online or in groups, there are people that will come for you and basically either like bully you or make fun of you or tell you that everything you're doing is wrong, and they basically deprive you of that chance to experiment and learn for yourself. So what I always say is just do what works for you. What works for one person may not work for the next. We all have our own little ecosystems in our home. No two ecosystem is the same. And don't be afraid to, honestly, don't be afraid to kill plants. Don't be afraid to like take chances and experiment, because honestly, like, there were a lot of plants that I lost that I think could have been prevented had I done something like clean the chunk before rot got all the way through. And so now I just find that many of my propagations, many of my imports have been successful because of, I guess, my years of experimenting. My message is don't rob anyone of their chance to learn in their own way. Take everything I say and do with a grain of salt. Always test things out for yourself first before you take anyone's advice really to heart, no matter how much you might look up to them or whatever. So I think that I have made it through everything on one charge, which is kind of a miracle. I'm gonna try and grab my sleepy pug here. Don't be alarmed, I pull him like that all the time since he was a puppy. Look at how sleepy my baby pug is. Baby Pudge, it's time to say goodbye, and it's time to wrap up October. All right, so I'm not gonna make him do much talking this time because I literally just woke him from his sleep multiple times, actually. Thank you guys for watching another video. Thank you for sticking with me all of October. I hope you guys liked the content this month. As exhausted as I am, I actually had a lot of fun filming and editing videos this month, getting creative with my nails. This is a ghost, by the way. It's not very good, but yeah, it was just really fun. And I feel like I owe all of the experiences that I've had up to this point to you guys, because if no one was watching my videos, then we wouldn't be here. But thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope everyone has had an amazing October. It's hard to believe that we're already in fall and getting into winter. I honestly feel like it was just spring and now here we are. I don't think that we're gonna have anything as planned out for any other holidays, especially Christmas, because you guys probably already know I'm not a huge fan of Christmas, and I'll also be traveling back to California for Christmas. So I guess it's just back to regular scheduled stuff after this point. So I will put my creepy Halloween filters away and all of his costumes, which is pretty sad. But anyway, we're gonna get out of here. Thank you guys so much for watching our videos every week, for all the thumbs up, all of the comments, everyone who joins in on premiere days and chats with me during video releases. You guys are amazing. Honestly, you guys are amazing. So without further ado, we're gonna say goodbye and happy Halloween. Do you want to say happy Halloween, Pudge? Say happy Halloween, friends. We love you. Let's give him a high five. Do you want to give him a high five and then you can go take a nap? Okay, high five. Bye.